is behind the attack. Kenrick Prudhomme, a man with a notable religious and political past, claims to be the latest victim of a threat upon his life by a religious group in central Trinidad. In the early hours of this morning at his Cascade home, his daughter woke him to deliver some frightening news, that his van was alight with flames.
It was completely damaged. My home, which would have $3 million, was damaged on the eastern side of the building. And I suspect that who might be part of this sort of arson that we call it in regards to my property.
The Mazda BT50 4x4 was burned to its shell. Prudhomme says that he was a member of a religious organization which he recently called a cult in a newspaper.
It represented what you call a Christ-like organization. And the Bible specifically, the conduct itself is an orderly way. And what I saw there was not consistent with that kind of teachings. And I raised issue with it because I feel I have a right to so do. But having recognized what cult is all about, they do not adhere to any what you call corrections. So they use force in order to do it. And this is what happened to me last night.
He says he and 2 others have previously been victims of death threats from a group he's familiar with.
Sunday, a member was targeted by these 12 members. And by the Monday, another member in Granby was targeted by these 15 members. Threats and that sort of thing. I also received threats.
TV6 News was able to contact one of the persons Prudhomme claimed was victimized by the group. Sophia Carter confirmed receiving death threats as well when she attempted to publicize information about them. Attempts to contact the second victim were unsuccessful. Tracy Jordan, TV6 News.
A family of 6 is now homeless after fire ravaged their home at San
and putting it in the bonfire in order for them to die. You want to explain that?
Well, a bonfire would be a very tall stack of material to be burned down, right? Like old wood and tires and a whole lot of stuff to burn down. The leadership will organize this bonfire. We will go to the bonfire and the leadership will say, walk with the names of your enemies on a paper, walk with whatever bills you have, whatever debts anybody. Somebody giving you trouble, walk with it, throw it in the fire, and then they will pray death and damnation upon that person. Then there would be other times like they will have prayer meetings. Well, they called it prayer meetings only in December. When I left, I realized it was charismatic witchcraft. Okay. They will have these prayer meetings where the leadership will pray for their wives to die, their ex-wives to die. The leadership will pray for their enemies to die, for people to die, and anyone that doesn't agree with the leadership must die. Also, I could recall the congregation being given a prayer list with not only the deaths of many of the enemies, but also an earthquake. The leadership had prophesied that an earthquake would come to Trinidad and Tobago, and that many will die, that a lot of people will die in Trinidad and Tobago. And on that prayer list, it was the actual request was that pray for the earthquake to come so that the leadership's word would not fall on dry ground. And I realized on the 3rd of December of last 2015, I realized that looking at the prayer list just before I left, I said this couldn't be God. If we are praying for the leadership's word and not God's word, it's not God saying that an earthquake will come to this nation, you know?
That's when you recognize that, hey, I really am in a cult, or you had recognized that? Because I know you said bring in lists. Is it that you're only praying for who the leadership wants to die, or are you praying for, and if it is that I'm a member, could I bring in my,
Yeah, that's it. You
I
can
could bring in
your own
people,
wish.
anyone that any enemies that you have,
Yeah.
it becomes the leadership's enemy. Any enemies that the leadership have must be your enemy. You must not fraternize with his enemies, because he will cut you off or excommunicate you from the church. Excommunication is the act whereby someone is not allowed to communicate with anyone from any church or from within the church, you know, but other churches will look at it as a crazy person excommunicating other people.
okay.
You know?
You talk about having the bonfires, and it had one point in time that they came to rob the bonfire or something like that. You want to explain about that a little more?
Actually, that robbery took place in a church that we had in this same Point 14 area. And someone came in there and they stole some computers and whatnot. And a lot of men, police officers included, other teachers, whatever, they went down to the people's house, beat them up. And this is something, if you leave the organization also, and they want to talk to you and you don't want to come, they were going to come to your house and they're going to be banging on your gate, or they're going to come onto your property, threatening you that if you don't come back, you're going to die. You're going to die a most awful death. You're going to die the most horrific death. I've been threatened throughout this year. If I'm walking on the street and they see me, you know, they'll threaten me and tell you, and sometimes it's people of high standard in society as well, not just common ex-vigilante background people.
Okay.
Yeah,
You know?
anybody.
All right, let's just take a break and we'll come back with the rest of our story.
Are you coming? Are you coming? Hey, hey. What if you wait? What if you wait? Oh yeah. For vacation, that's right. What if you wait? What if you wait? That's right. Time to straight time. Beach bar. Oh, oh. Hand in the air, everybody. Beach bar. Oh, oh.
And welcome back to the Reality Behind Success. Today we are speaking with Sophia Carter. She is telling us about a cult that she was involved with and certain things that she used to do for us to see that it is real in Trinidad and Tobago, and it is real that we should keep praying up, because you don't
Yes.
know who is praying against you
Yeah,
and
all
who
the time.
actually have your name in this fire,
Yeah.
right? So let's continue from what we were speaking earlier. And we were talking about the bonfire, and as well as the bonfire being robbed, and you all were left there to deal with licks and to deal with that
okay.
kind of thing.
One time, one of the members, and God had it so that I witnessed when this happened. One of the members provoked somebody from in that area that we were in. And the guys began to become violent towards us. The leadership thereafter were called and told about what was taking place up there.
Yeah.
What was taking place up there. And the leadership sent a vehicle, took their children out, and left the members, children, women, and men, to be beaten up there. There were men on the phone speaking to the leadership, to the leadership on the phone, and saying, well, look, right now I'm being planners, you know.
Yeah.
And people could have died up there, and the leadership just didn't care. It was like we were just sacrifices up there left to die up there.
And what were the rituals like being around, seeing that you all were praying for people to die? What would that ritual, I mean, I don't want like word for word, but like
Yeah.
what you all used to do? What was the
What is
ritual like?
Okay, the leadership taught us to pray, I should say, because that is not prayer, know that I know better.
Yeah.
Right? Taught us to pray in a way that you would say death to, you're calling all the person name, death to them, death and destruction upon them, death to the children, whatever. have a livestock, whatever, they will lose their property, they will they must just end up like nothing. And not only that, they will say, you will turn some people that, there are some people, when, if they hurt the leadership real bad, they will say that upon them. Others, they will say they will be a vagrant, you know. They will end up to nothing. That one will get raped all how. They will say things like, that one's a prostitute. Like, for example, when I left the organization, the leadership began to tell the congregation that I was a prostitute. Nevertheless, I was in the leadership's home. I took care of the leadership's children. I was there doing everything. I was on his property, selling his fruits, harvesting, you know, planting, everything, you know.
And I know you also said they used to make you all look at X-rated movies.
Yeah.
As well. Do you want to explain that as well?
That's right. That's right, sure. The leadership loves to watch movies. So when they buy movies, they will bring the movies and say, well, look, give Sophia this movie. So when I began looking at the movie, sometimes it might be an action movie, you never know, but majority of the time it will be X-rated movies. And I would just take it out and I will continue taking care of the children. And when he asked me, well, like, how the movie went, I would be like, look, that was movie, you know, to blend me in so that I wouldn't be, you know.
So, I mean, this is 10 years of your life you dedicated to this organization. Going through this 10 years, talking about these experiences, wishing death on people, at this point in time, didn't you realize, well, okay, this is wrong, this is wrong. I mean, 10 years passed, this is wrong, I should get out now.
Okay, all right. There are other young ladies that were made to look, before I get to that, there was other young ladies that were made to look at these movies, like they would say, like, I don't want to look at it, and you say, listen, a member's wife was looking at this movie, and, you know, as a result of that, let us just see what they're looking at, you know, and they didn't want to be looking at the movies, you know, and...
Would they get, how would it be? Would it be that it was instructed that you had to, or you were abused if you didn't follow his instruction? How was it like?
Yeah, the consequences.
The leadership would send, like, if they're married, they would send their wives out. And they will have the young ladies sit at home with them to look at the movies, right? If you don't look at the movie with them, they will treat you real bad. They will demote you. If you were a worship leader, you will sit down. You can't be a worship leader anymore. If you were usher, you have to sit down. If you were a minister, you have to sit down. And once you are sitting down, it's like you're walking the walk of shame. Nobody can talk to you. Nobody can't nobody can't interact with you. If they are seen interacting with you, they also will be put to sit down too. They'll be treated real bad, you know, and nobody wants to be treated bad.
You also talk about the tribunal. What is the tribunal within this organization?
A tribunal within this organization happens between the hours of 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. During that time...
So that's when everybody's sleeping, basically. Yeah. They really say, you know, long time, and now we'll hear, especially old people saying, between these hours, that's the time the devil up, that's the time the devil, that's the time to be praying, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So during 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., wee hours in the morning when everybody's sleeping, this is the time that you all go to trial, basically.
Yes. And sometimes it happens like suddenly, like if someone did something that the leadership will deem to be wrong, suddenly everyone will be called out their houses, 12 o'clock to come and go. If not, people will be there in church, and after church, they plan a tribunal for after church. Let's say church finishes 11 o'clock. Sometimes churches finish 3 o'clock and all in the morning, 3 a.m. Yeah. Right? And these people will have a little meeting after, and then you still have to wait long, painful hours in a tribunal. And in that tribunal, they will beat you. If they ask you a question, you're not answering, they will come and beat you. If you do something wrong, that they deem to be wrong, they will come and they will slap you up. I even was a victim of that. May I go in more on how I was a victim of it?
Okay, sure. Let us take a break. And we'll be right back. As we said, this is a two-part segment. We will come back next week with the continuation of Sophia's story. Please tune in. I know it is interesting because because
Yes.
I can't wait to hear the
More,
continuation
just
of
hear
this.
more and more.
So we'll be right back. Stay tuned.